Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take a quick look again at Bitcoin, see what's going on. We can see a pretty obvious rejection here at that $80,000 mark. That's that psychological resistance range. So, par for the course there. If we were to close back up above that level and or 78,000, I'll explain more in this video why that's a relevant number. It would be two important factors here, right? So if we can get that to happen, it'd be extremely important. We're going to look at some resistance ranges, but also some liquidation levels that kind of might help us understand, situations that may play out here. We're gonna have to zoom in a little bit with smaller time frames and kind of look at that here, but from a macro or just say last 7 days, 1 week perspective, we can see that we're kind of in this sparse range here where there's some folks at about 81.5 and then a little bit of leverage about 76,000. So the truth is there's more to the upside than the downside if you're to kind of look at that or look at it that way. It depends on how you look at it, right? Let's look at the last 24 hours and see if there's any indication of where we're at here. So we can see late longs here between 76 and 78K, maybe subject to some retracement there, potential liquidation, but they're not like super heavy concentrations here. So I'm not massively concerned with this here. It is best to presume that the market's going to continue to go lower until it doesn't, just based on how ridiculous the fundamentals are in the world right now. But overall, we're still seeing liquidation delta closer to about 5 billion, kind of implying there's more shorts in play than longs. I think it's going to remain that way until we close soundly above 80,000. So my original inclination to want to short 80,000, that opportunity came and went last night when I wasn't in my office, so I didn't take that short trade. Hindsight's 2020, would have been nice to catch that little bit of profit. But I would say secondary to that, the $84,000 range has heavy confluence. We'll look at that on the charts here soon. That would be the next area of consideration for a short. Let's take a look here though. First of all, here's that confluence. We got massive amount of open interest, $250 million there, right about 84,300, and then roughly half that amount at 82.5. So 82.5 is a halfway point between now and 84,000 that will provide some resistance for us if we get that high. So just note that's kind of where we're at with the open interest areas there. Daily time frame, let's work our way down, kind of see what's going on. There's going to be nothing bullish about the daily time frame. So that's about the same thing on all coins right now. I don't think there's a single altcoin that has a good daily structure. XRP is like on the edge of disaster or also greatness. So if that gives you any indication. But that coin pumped up pretty fast and it's more likely to pull back as well. If you catch my XRP videos, you'll recognize that we're planning to short at $2, which effectively that happened last night and has since pulled back. So right now, at this point, Bitcoin is looking like it wants to continue lower, stochastic swinging down, MACD diverging. There's nothing really here telling us that we have any type of shifts in momentum. We want to look at the lower timeframes to identify these key supports and resistance ranges. And as I mentioned previously, we had basically a double bottom at the 78,500 mark. So closing above that 78,500 level is important because it would kind of reaffirm that we're moderately back on track. It's a very small constellation, certainly nothing to really consider taking a trade on, but that's why you kind of see my play out here from yesterday with potential retest of that level, which is so far playing out as we can kind of see here. So holding above 78.5 I think is a good number for us. But once more, that was a previous low there, essentially from back in February and obviously March, where we double bottomed out. And you could even argue this is a triple bottom because if you look at the daily time frame, we haven't closed below this level yet. We keep ranging at 78.5, so there's potential for further upside here at this point. Hourly time frame is going to tell us here that the Ichimoku cloud we've broken above, but we're remotely within the cloud itself. We've had a few hours above the cloud, testing that lower lead as a support. Lagging spans intersecting the price action, kind of letting us know it's a bit of a mess. Simple way to understand it, we have good momentum, we're above the cloud. We have roughly 2 out of 3 reasons why a long position makes a little bit more sense than a short on a very small time frame hold. Okay, so don't get it twisted. I'm not telling you to take a long to 90, 100,000, but I do think a long from this area here seems more beneficial pending we don't have any type of crazy fundamental catalyst. I think the likelihood of the price going higher from here, at least to the 80 to 82.5K range, is a good consideration at this point. And mostly, again, based on smaller time frames, the macro is terrible. So please don't consider holding a long position for very long. But at this point here, I think we're looking a little decent here. We are starting to average out some nice volume in this area here. But the truth is 80,000 is the resistance. We got to treat it as such. And then 82.5 above that with our open interest area, and 84,000 are those two next key level resistances. So be mindful of that. If you're going to consider a long, ensure you secure profits between now and then. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at there. Not great, not terrible. It is par for the course right now, considering where we're at. Just be careful trading alts, I would say, at this point too. They look like they want to pull back kind of hard, at least specific ones are doing so. But at this point, that's kind of where we're at. Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much again for joining me here. Hope you learned something today. Comment below if you are open, if you have a trade open with Bitcoin. I'd love to hear that. And obviously, don't forget to like the video if you could, please. Thanks again so much. We'll see you again soon. Take care.